Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Becoming Rich podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Monica. This podcast is a place where we reclaim our power, choose ourselves, and create lives rich in love, self worth, purpose, abundance, and rich in love. I don't know if I said that. This episode, we're obviously talking about choosing men and the power that we have as women in choosing these men and how the power is in our hands. Okay. When we say all men are trash or all men cheat and all men are horrible, we're giving away our power and falling into this illusion that we don't have any control in the partners that we end up with. And it's kind of just like, this is just how men are, and we're all just kind of struggling in it. I see the truth of like, okay, there's a lot of men that are like that do treat women bad, and that don't have any emotional intelligence, yes. But there are also a lot of really good men. There are. And the problem is that from our experiences in our 20s, that obviously, where were we in our 20s? Probably didn't see ourselves very highly. You know, I see the statistics, I see what's going on in the world. Every kind of destruction possible known to the earth is happening in the hands of men. Women are being murdered, women are raped. We are, our biggest predators are men. I still understand that, and I do feel like there's a lot of truth in that. But when we are focusing all of our attention on that, that's what we're going to just continue to attract. And sometimes, even though it's difficult to do, you need to put your focus on what you do want to attract. It's the same thing when we're talking about money. It's like when you want to become a millionaire, you can't just be looking at the world and looking at people that are struggling and oh, but look at my past and look at all my experiences I've ever had. You're basically making yourself believe that your past and everything that you see around you is what's going to be your future. You're never going to be a millionaire. You're never going to be successful in your career financially if you're not even giving yourself those opportunities to see what's actually possible, because there are millionaires, there are highly successful people in every single field, and if they can do it, so can you. So it's just expanding your mind to seeing like what's possible and focusing on that. So it's the same thing with men. It's like we need to be focusing on the good men that are out there and knowing that if they exist, then why not you? Why can't you be in a relationship like that? There are women out here that are in healthy, happy relationships with men that would never dream of cheating and respect their women and value women in general. This has just been very much on my mind lately, the topic of men. And I feel like a lot of things kind of were coming together for this episode. A lot of my focus is on women. I really, obviously, because I'm a woman and I experience my experiences as a woman and I want to help other women. My viewpoint on like feminism, it's to help both genders, really, because we all suffer under the patriarchy. And when men are suffering, that's when a lot of women are also suffering. It goes hand in hand. So I do eventually want to talk more about men and men's healing because it is really important. It's important to me. I obviously care about just humans in general, and I don't want anyone to be suffering. And it's come a long way. Trust me, it's come a long way because I have hated men. I have had a very unhealthy relationship with the masculine, which is also just that relationship that I have within myself. And so it took me years to heal that and start focusing on what I do want, right? And the good in men and just like bringing all my focus there. I've been like having these like conversations on TikTok randomly with like random men and just like trying to give them my opinions and trying to help them in any small way that I can, giving them advice here and there. As I'm like also dating, I'm paying attention to the kind of guys that I'm choosing to date and what I'm looking out for. And I had a recent encounter with someone from my past that really helped me to see myself and maybe my past decisions and who I used to be compared to who I am today. And while this person that I had an encounter with, like, I care about as like a human being, want him to be like thriving, but I don't want this to come from like a judgment place, but it definitely made me like he really just represents an archetype of men that a lot of men fall into, and it's completely normal. It's so normal to live in our society and grow up hating women, because so do women. We hate the feminine, the way that we treat the planet, the way that we treat anything feminine is looked at as wrong. And I think that that is just like such a deep conversation, because it goes into gay people, anyone in the LGBT community, trans people, the way that we demonize these people because they maybe have a little bit more feminine than masc. Why do we hate that so much? Why is that so wrong? Why is it so wrong to be anything feminine? That relationship with the feminine and their relationship within themselves, it's so huge, and like the way that they're going to end up treating you, and you have to take those things so serious. When you're dating, you have to like really understand this person before you get in too deep, because the kind of men that we choose often just serves as a mirror to our own healing, or like lack of areas in our life that need a little bit more care. And it's just time that we're honest with that. We're bringing our power back and pointing the finger back at ourselves, because we are the one choosing these men. We are the one choosing our relationships. Just literally how it goes. Men are not inherently toxic. Men are not supported and brought into a world they need to detach from their emotions in order to be masculine. A man is not just masculine. A man is both masculine and feminine, the same way that women are both masculine and feminine. We have feminine and masculine traits, and that's what makes us who we are. And if we're suppressing one of these parts of us, we're not actually fully being ourselves. Men suffer under this a lot more than women. I think women are allowed to be a little bit more masculine. Obviously, we have been in the way that we're working and the way that our structures are built, but that's also not healthy too, to be like fully in our masculine and not honoring our feminine flow. But as a man, he's learned to suppress his emotions. Journaling and going to therapy is looked at as, I don't even want to say this, but this is what this is what these kind of men will say, that it's gay. Because being gay is wrong, because a gay man is connected with his feminine. That only harms the man himself. It's like he's trying to like prove something, like he is the strong man that doesn't need to talk about things. That's just not the truth. You can lie to yourself and say that you don't need to and you're fine, but you're not. But you're not, because look around and look at your life and look at what you're doing, look at your habits, look at your relationships. The thing is with therapy is like we all need therapy. It is helpful for every single individual. Even when you're happy and like things are going well in your life, like things are not always you're not always on a high. That's just like not what life is. Life is a constant roller coaster of like up and downs, and you're experiencing just all emotions. That's what it means to be human. But we're not growing if we're not experiencing pain and hurt and discomfort. That's all a part of it. A lot of times we need help to get through it, and it doesn't mean anything about you when you're reaching out to someone for help? Why do we feel like we need to do everything on our own? Where the system is like built on this like individualized, this is how we need to live, is very like individual. Like you're on your own. But the thing is like it's built like that by design so that we're not feeling empowered to actually grow as a society, as a collective. Because the more that we have community, the more that we rely on our community, the better education that's going to be like going around, because we all have our own experiences and we all have something to teach with each other. And the more that we can rely on each other, we can get through things a lot easier. And so many people aren't going to be suffering. But if so many people aren't suffering and so many people are empowered, then the world that we have, the systems that we have created are going to crumble. It's maybe in men to want to conquer and power, control, but there's a way to do that in a healthy way, like to protect women or protect your communities, protect your brothers. You can still have those like qualities that are inherent in you without wanting to kill and harm and hurt beings, living beings. Men who have these unprocessed wounds with their mothers or the feminine, often that's just going to leak into their relationships and it's going to project onto the women that they date. So it can look like emotional withdrawal, control, manipulation, abandonment, or even resentment. I feel like men sometimes are jealous of women just in the ways that we're able to freely be ourselves, or to see the relationships that we have with other women and to see that we're able to process and feel better afterwards, and like they don't allow themselves to. They're caged within their own minds because they put themselves in this box of like who they need to be. And if they go outside and step outside of that box, they're the ones judging themselves. But obviously the reason why they're judging themselves is because of their programming. And that's why a lot of these straight white men who have this toxic masculinity often leads to transphobia, because these are just men or women that are acting free to be themselves out in public and transitioning, something as difficult to do. Like I can't even imagine the journey, the freaking, oh my God, like to have to go through a transition from one sex to another. I can't imagine that experience, how difficult that must be in our day and age. So the courage that takes, the bravery that takes, the courage to just be authentically you, no matter what society says, no matter what anyone says, you're saying this is who I am, even though people will try to use science against you and people will try to just like say, no, this isn't who you are. You're this way. You have to be this way. And you're going against that. Oh my God. Like that is someone being truly authentic to themselves. And that triggers and threatens people that are not able to be themselves and are not able to be that way. When a man hasn't made peace with his feminine, he will then fear or belittle it in others, as in the girl that he's dating. He'll see any kind of softness as weakness and any kind of emotional depth as too much. I can't imagine. I can't imagine, because everything is so deep. Everything is so deep. Everything. Me, so deeply my Scorpio. I have so much Scorpio in my chart. Everything is just so deep, but that is just the truth. I can go down, like you tell me there's one issue, I can go down all of the layers of like where that issue actually came from, where it stemmed from. And then you'll be like, oh, damn, I didn't even know that this dates back to when I was in the womb and what I heard my mother say when I was in her womb. And that's why I'm dealing with this issue now. It's that deep. Or even generations back. It's deep. This shit is deep. But yeah, with the man, it's not that he maybe hates the feminine. Maybe I shouldn't be saying hate. It's just that he doesn't know how to hold it. And that could be because no one has ever taught him how to hold those emotions and how to hold that space. And if a man can't hold that space with himself, he's not going to be able to hold that for you. These are things that you need to look out for when you're dating, because there's no way in hell I could ever date someone that is emotionally unintelligent and is not connected to their emotions. Now, there's a difference between like being open to it and wanting to learn and understanding everything that like I talk. This is how I talk on dates. This is who I am. And if they're open and understanding and actually listen and want to learn and be better. And also, it does help when they have sisters and they are tapped in a little bit into their feminine. I think that's just important. You need to be tapped into your feminine. You have to, at least to date me. But if you're so like resistant to that, you're so resistant to having this like emotional intelligence, how are you going to be able to ever like have conversations with them and have them understand you and understand your heart? They're so disconnected from their own heart. It's just not possible. But at the same time, you can't be their healer, you can't be their teacher, you can't be their mother and their partner at the same time. Because then that's not love, that's just self-abandonment. So when you're dating men, you have to ask yourself, am I dating men that value me, that see us, or do they just want to consume us? Are they just living in a fantasy of what women are and what we can provide for them? Like a man that says, what can you bring to the table? Get fucked. I bring myself to the table. I don't need to, if you need to ask that, you don't know the inherent value of a woman. And I'm not going to be here to teach you that if you don't already know, if you don't already see that. Like what? It's really important to be able to tell and like distinguish when a man is emotionally intelligent or when he's just telling you what you want to hear, what he thinks that you want to hear. So some ways that you can tell if they're emotionally intelligent or if they're emotionally available, are they showing you consistency with their actions, not just their words, or is it just this like intense connection at the start? Do they take responsibility for their emotions, or do they just shut down, or just like take responsibility just in general? Do they have the capacity to take accountability if like anything does come up? Or are they just avoiding it and making excuses? Are they open to hearing you and hearing feedback or hearing different perspectives? Or are they shutting you down? And are they just immediately going, oh, you're right, without actually continuing on the conversation to learn? Because like it could be both ways. Like it could be a man that's just gonna like shut you down because he like doesn't agree and he doesn't want to hear it, and he's gonna just like ha ha ha, like maybe like brush it off with some jokes. Or he could be like aggressive and actually just shut it down with like, you don't know what you're talking about. Or they could also shut you down by telling you you're right and just agreeing with you without actually continuing on the conversation and maybe like asking some questions if they don't actually understand what you're talking about. Are they making space for your feelings, or are they just making things about them? That is such a red flag. Like if they're not asking you questions and they're just like going on and on about themselves, I feel like maybe maybe like I'm bad with like talking about myself a lot, and then I'm like, oh, I really liked him, but really it was just me talking. But no, it's really important to know the other person, get to know them and like who they are, and they should be doing the exact same thing with you. You have to be so clear from the start what your intentions are, what you want, and what your desires are for the future, what your desires are for a relationship, your viewpoints on the world, your values, your morals. to make sure that they align with this person. Just don't settle. You can't be settling. If you're looking for a partner that you want to spend your life with, you want to spend years with, you really want, like, oh my God, just like spending time with anyone. It's like so crucial that you guys are in alignment with the things that you believe in and the things that you want out of life. And I think one of the biggest tellers of knowing if this is a person for you is if you feel freely to be yourself. If you feel like you need to shift in the way that you speak, in the way that you act, in the way that maybe you're just not as bubbly when you're around them because it seems that, I don't know, they get annoyed or they're a little bit more like nonchalant. Or if they seem a little bit more serious and so you feel like you need to be a little bit more serious, or they don't joke that much so then you're not joking as much, or they don't like talking about politics because you both have two different viewpoints so then you stop talking about politics. Like, if you are changing yourself, like the core of who you are, you're not with the right person. You should be able to freely be more of yourself when you're with the right person, because that person is going to want you to be more authentically yourself. The same way that if you were with someone that you cared about, you truly wanted to be with someone that you loved, you would want them to be fully themselves and you would love them more for it, or at least you should. And if you don't like them for being themselves, then they're not the person, like, they shouldn't be with you. You can't be like putting on this act for your entire life. I've heard so many like people that get into relationships, and well, I mean, I've done it in my past too, where you just like try to mold yourself into being the version that that person might want to be with. But then you're not being yourself and you're just like acting as someone else. How long are you going to be able to keep up that shtick? Why would you want that? Why would you want to like have to mold yourself? You don't actually want that. All you want is love. The truth is that all you want is love and all you want is to be chosen. But you're worthy of love and you're worthy of being chosen, being exactly who you are. And you should be able to be with a partner that you can just like freely be that with. Okay, and I think like the biggest like and scariest thing is men that mirror you and men that act like they have this whole like spiritual talk, self-development talk where maybe they read the books and maybe they do go to therapy, and or they say they go, and they use the language like holding space and alignment and masculine and feminine. It's you have to just watch their actions compared to their talk. Is their nervous system regulated, or is this just like a conversation that they have to attract women? Words are so cheap, and embodiment is like what you need to watch. Embodiment. Do they embody the person that they actually say that they are? How does he act if he doesn't get his way? How does he act when you are expressing your emotions? Does he shut down? Does he hold space? Does he get uncomfortable when you have certain conversations? A woman that values herself will not settle for a man who hasn't met himself. And that's just what it is. Like when I look back at like my past relationships, or just like men that I have associated with that I would never in my life associate with now, it's like at the time, of course I was. It makes sense because I didn't know my own worth. I didn't know who I was. So of course I was, or we weren't even getting into like deep enough conversations. Oh my God. I can't even, when I actually like think about like the guys that oh my God, it's literally insane. It's insane. Like, oh my God, like men that hated women, or like just men that like saw women as below them. Oh, never. I I need to be with a man that not only sees the value of a woman, but like sees us for the goddesses that we are. And it's not about like one is better than the other. It's never about one but being better than the other. It's we all have different things that we offer, and we all have amazing, beautiful gifts that we bring to this planet. And men are here to protect and to provide for women, but for themselves too. And that makes them feel good. I think like that's like the thing. It's like men get like triggered because men have a lot of pressure. Obviously, men have a lot of pressure to provide, and I always say that's stressful, especially with like what is happening in the world. Like it's definitely stressful to like have to, if like money is the only thing that women care about. But the thing is like that's not what women care about. But the more that women meet themselves, the more that women know their value and know what they can offer, the more that they want men to meet them there too. And that's where men need to show up. That's where men need to step up and start looking deep within themselves and healing the things that aren't healed and understanding that we want more than just money. We want money, but we want more than that. And like that's what I would always say. I would always be like, I would always tell people that like I wanted a man with money and that was attractive. Those are like my two big things. It'd be like, Rachel, that's asking too much because don't you want a man that treats you good and blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, obviously, but I want all of it. I want all of it. And the more that I grow and I go through my own self-development journey, the more I know that I'm worthy of it all. I'm worthy of it all because I am it all. And if it exists out there, then I want it. I don't like, it just doesn't make any sense. If there's a man out there that is emotionally intelligent is obviously like pretty high on the list. Like I need a man to be emotionally intelligent. I need a man that cares about human beings, that cares about all beings, that cares about things other than himself. And that's a huge one when it comes to politics. His worldview, his politics say so much about him. And I know that like we all have different views. And so like if you are a woman that is conservative, then sure, you're going to attract a man that's conservative and maybe that feels good for you. And that's great. We should be aligned with our people. But the way that I view things, I believe that they're huge red flags when men mask their misogyny in humor, when they're resistant to therapy, spiritual bypassing, and just like the way their politics. Because if he dismisses conversations about gender, race, things that are happening right now around the world, things that are happening in Gaza, the Palestinian people, things that are happening in the States with immigration, that's like so huge. If you can't have compassion for other people other than yourself, how are you ever going to have compassion for me? Especially as a woman. I'm Mexican. I don't even want to use the Mexican card because it's not like I like suffer under being like Mexican. That's not just a different in politics, it's a different in awareness. And if you can't connect yourself with other people or you can't see your own privilege, I can't relate. Like I can understand like a lot of things that I talk about, a lot of things that when it comes to your beliefs and subconscious reprogramming and building the life of your dreams and knowing that everything that you want is possible, that comes from a privileged place because that's coming out of survival and being able to actually tap in those frequencies. I can do it from a very comfortable place. And I'm not saying that it's not possible if you're not in comfortable places because your reality all starts within your mind. But it's a lot more difficult when you don't have the comfort to do that in, or at least have like a little bit more, like you're on your 2 feet a little bit more because you're obviously like your focus is on survival. And that's why like our past generations weren't able to heal as much as maybe we're able to heal because they were just trying to survive. They were just trying to have some kind of food on the table. If he's numb to the world, he's eventually just going to be numb to you because a lot of politics are rooted in fear and dominance. And I'm sure his love probably is too. And how can you build a life with someone that doesn't care about the world that you're living in, especially if it affects you personally? It's all, oh my God, it all connects, because it's like when we abuse Mother Nature, the same way that we are controlling and abusing her is the same way that we abuse and control women. Like, it's all just connected. At the end of the day, you are going to attract what you believe that you deserve. That's just what it is. And it doesn't matter what you say. You might say, "No, I believe I deserve better. I don't believe I deserve a man to treat me like this." If you are still staying in a relationship with a man that's treating you a certain way, then you believe that you deserve it. Because if you actually believed that you deserve better, you would just walk away and you would leave. That's like a really hard statement that I had to be honest with myself when I was in toxic relationships. I'd be like, no, you thought that you deserved that the entire time. Like, it literally, I think about myself like crying, like, I deserve someone that's like this and like that. Then why aren't you leaving that guy that's not being like your dream man? Hello? Oh my God, it's so crazy, because it's like my experience with men is so night and day. Like, from the kind of men that I was experiencing back when I was toxic compared to now. Oh my God. It's just, and then I'm like, yes, like, I'm allowing myself to receive because I know that I'm worthy of it. And maybe if I were to receive this kind of treatment back in the day, I would have felt uncomfortable because I wouldn't have felt worthy. Man can like treat you good in some ways, but if they're not emotionally holding you, I don't think that that's like a safe space for a woman. And like, remember that like these boundaries that you're holding with men and being so clear and having these clear standards on the kind of men that you want, it doesn't mean that you're building walls around you and you're going to end up alone and you're just like blah, blah, blah. Like, I mean, I've spent a lot of years by myself and I don't care because I am now able to attract better partners. So I would have rather spent this time being alone to attract that partner than to stay with someone and then just continue to be in poor relationships that like weren't fulfilling me or weren't giving me everything that I wanted. People just like don't want to have standards and they just want to like settle just to be in a relationship. And that's like obviously a whole other conversation. It's sad, you know? It's just like so sad because when you don't know that you're like worthy of like having it all, or you don't know that they exist, like if you don't think that like a man exists that can treat you good, that won't cheat, man, I've the healing I've done with men, it's like now I can like really appreciate and care for men and the way that they are. It makes them feel good to like take care of you, you know, and you just get to like sit there and just like be a princess. Obviously, like, I mean, I have so much to offer and I mean, just my company is enough. It's true. It's true, man. I feel like they learn so much off me, you know? I like a man can learn so much off a woman. We just like inherently have like so much wisdom and we're so connected to our intuition. Like we can guide them in so many ways that they're not able to. Okay. You can't really like come to this step, I feel like, of like really being intentional with the men that you're choosing until you find yourself being in an okay place of not having anyone. Because that's when you can be picky and choosy. Because if you're in a fear that you're never going to find someone or you're in fear that it's taking too long, you're going to end up rushing the process and you're going to overlook a lot of things. That fear just comes from not having trust in your own path, your own journey, and trusting that you're going to be with someone like that is going to like make you happy in life. It's like, why wouldn't you? Like, why wouldn't you? It's just so hard for me to believe now at this point. Like, because I know that I definitely sat in the fear that it was never going to happen for me. But we also have these like timelines of like when it's supposed to happen. And I've really let go of a lot. I've let go of my vision for like what I thought my life was going to be and how old I was going to be. And like things have altered, but things have altered to align with the version of who I am today. And it's not like I love it. Like I'm not like, oh no, I didn't get my dream of like getting married and having kids by 28. Now my life just looks so much different. My priorities are so much different. Like I see myself as maybe potentially not even having kids. And I'm like really, really open to that. And what I love about that outlook is that I am more focused on my own career and my own success and what I want to bring to the world and what I want to do on my time here without anyone. Just like what I want to do, the things that I want to create. That's important to me first. And when a partner does come in my life, to be able to share life with them is going to be also beautiful. It's not going to take away from, like, I still want to go after the things that I want to go after. They're just going to be there. They're just going to be there, like a fun, like a best friend to like just go through life with. But I have best friends too. You know, like I have a lot of good relationships in my life. I'm so grateful for the the female relationships that I have. But, you know, a man is just going to like, obviously, it's a different kind of relationship, but it's going to be great. But when I'm with that person and dependent on where I'm at in my life, like I want to choose to have kids when I choose the right partner. And if it makes sense for me and the partner. And that I won't be able to choose until I'm in that relationship, until I'm in that time frame. Because when I think about it now, I'm like, I can never have kids now. Like, they're just gonna take too much of my time away because I want to be a present parent. I want to be very, very present. We're not like taught everything it takes to be a parent. It's only, the only things that we're taught is like to be able to provide for kids and like the generics, like how to take care of them physically, but not emotionally. And that is like really, really important to me because that just dictates the human being that they're going to be. And obviously, my healing has to happen first so that I can just be an embodied teacher for them. And that's the best way that kids learn is by example, not by telling. But anyways, I feel like just like coming to that understanding, just relaxing and just allowing life to flow in the way that it's meant to and trusting that what is for you is what's going to be for you and God's got you and you've got you, then like what can go wrong? Like, what can go wrong? I'm so beautiful inside and out. It's actually impossible for me to end up alone. And even if I did end up alone, like I'm pretty happy now, if I'm being honest. And like, what does it mean to be alone? Like, I'm never actually alone. If anything, I like tend to isolate because like I like being alone. I think life can look different for everyone, and some people can also grow in their partnerships, and that's their journey, and that's beautiful and that's great. But there's a lot of people that that's not their journey, and then they force themselves to be with someone, and then that just like cuts their growth and doesn't allow them to actually be their full potential and have the life that they could have. It's really all about unattachment, like detaching yourself from everything, detaching yourself from outcomes, detaching yourself from what you, because it's like I feel like we like have these ideas of like what we want for our lives, and then we attach ourselves to them, like they have to work out this way. Oh my god, I'm so over that. Like, it's gonna happen the way that it's meant to, and that's it. My tattoo, divine timing, baby. It's gonna happen exactly how it's meant to, and then like the universe can surprise you. It's exciting. It's so exciting to watch. Honestly, it's so exciting for me to like see my journey and like to see me go through this whole like healing journey and to detach and center myself around myself and not men, and then to start dating again and just like being surrounded by wonderful men, such good men. Oh, it just like literally makes me so happy. It makes me so happy and like proud of myself that I can attract these kind of men. And like to have this kind of viewpoint and this kind of perspective and this kind of relaxation in my life and it not to be filled with so much pressure. Because I definitely feel it. I'm not saying I'm perfect because I'm definitely not. I do go through my waves and we all desire connection. That's like completely natural. But it's like the desperation isn't there. The more that we hold our boundaries, the more that there's this like male loneliness epidemic, the more that they're going to start understanding that we want more. We want more than for them to just provide and protect, if they're even protecting. We require emotional intelligence. We require a man to be able to hold us, to hear us, to see us, to be able to see our value. And that's how we help men. If their desire is women and they want relationships with women, then maybe that's the very thing that's going to help them start to connect with themselves and start to feel a little bit open to therapy and healing things that they have gone through and healing things that they've never actually processed. Because we all have that. Women are just more comfortable with going through that journey, but it's so important for men to also go through that journey for their own mental health. Overall, helps the collective healing of all of us hold these standards, and hopefully men can meet us where we're at, can like help guide our men down this journey. It's only going to help them in their lives, and it's only going to help all of their relationships. And finally, you're not being too much. You're not asking too much for wanting a man that is also doing the work. You're asking for alignment, and you deserve peace in your life. I would love if you guys journaled maybe after this of like maybe the kind of patterns that you've seen in the relationships that you've been in with the men that you've been with, and just like kind of like connected the dots of like maybe what you've been attracting and why. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching, for listening. It would mean a lot to me if you rated this podcast and left a review, commented, and subscribed if you're on YouTube. And yeah, I love you so much. Thank you. Until next time. Bye.